The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Wake up, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison, Christy Scales. Thanksgiving is now over, but there's a lot to be thankful for. How y'all doing?
Wake
up.
up.
It's been a minute.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. We needed a full, long holiday weekend to celebrate.
Absolutely.
And relive.
Yeah. Did y'all celebrate well? Yeah.
We did, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, by the time I got home after 9 o'clock on Thanksgiving, after working the game, all the dishes had been cleaned and put away and saved my plate and
Love that.
microwave it and enjoy Thanksgiving. You bet.
I had a nice big old plate right before the game. And then I came to the game around like 1-ish. Then I still ate there. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
Pretty great day for me.
Yeah, Legends does a great job at the stadium putting on a good spread. So thank you to George Wasai and his group for making it special for those of us who have to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you.
I know the Cowboys had a nice little spread as well. They had the mac and cheese, they had the yams on the field. I'm trying to make sure.
And they was touching.
They had a little bit of everything.
They was touching.
Touching, you know.
I don't like my food to touch.
It's okay.
But
It's all good.
stuff is okay.
It was cute, though, because after the game, you know, players go out in the field, shake hands and everything, and Tyler Booker was getting ready to head towards the locker room, and then they went and they grabbed him. They handed him one of those silly turkey hats and said, "Get over here." So the offensive line and basically the entire starting offense was on CBS with Tracy Wolfson enjoying the turkey. And, of course, Jake. Everybody's eating a turkey leg except for Jake Ferguson, who puts his whole hand up that bird.
Oh, God.
Going for the stuffing, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then just eating it like it, you know.
Yeah.
It's country self.
That was like it was a piece of cotton candy, you know.
Yeah.
That was so fun. But to see one of my favorite memories from that game will be the delight on Tyler Booker's face. Like, me, I get to me. And he sprinted over there, man. He was ready to take part in it. But we forget, you know, that these players, especially the ones who are new to it, you know, they grow up watching this game and they see all of that. And then to get to be part of something that was so special and just a great energy, and a lot of my homies showed up, you know, a lot of red in the stadium. But, man, it was a really special atmosphere.
Yeah, I can't forget about the guys who are just kind of new to the team as well, that haven't played a Thanksgiving Day game, either like Quinnen, Kenny Clark. A lot of excitement there. But the Cowboys get the win over the Kansas City Chiefs, continuing to prove doubters wrong. 31-28 the final. They're now 6-5-1 in the season, won 3 straight. And you had everything from this defense continue to stack really good performances, like a Jadeveon Clowney with a 2-sack game. DeMarvion Overshown, of course, stacking good games. This offense as well, Dak Prescott playing at an elite level. Just talk about, you know, what was the biggest takeaway for you, Aisha, in that win over the Chiefs?
The biggest takeaway from, I want to say collectively, this last 3 games, you know, this 3-game streak that Dallas has been on is the trenches. The emphasis on the trenches. These gentlemen have won the line of scrimmage the majority of the game in all of these games, and that's the difference. And I think that's so impressive given, you know, the short amount of time that these guys have to recover, you know, the game planning, all of those things. I just feel like that is the part that stands out to me, is that not only did they beat these teams during this stretch, is that they haven't, and they obviously still have the Lions come up, they were able to out-physical them and to wear them out to where you start getting into the fourth quarter and you see, obviously there's some guys on the Cowboys that are fatigued, but the other team is far more fatigued. You turn on the film, it's a lot of hands on guys' hips, a lot of huffing and puffing. Secondly, the thing that stands out is the Clipboard Warriors came out to play. I call them the Clipboard Warriors, the coaches, because when you're in a stretch like this, game planning is so important. You know, the way that you time things, the way that you do your install, how these guys are absorbing information. And if you look within this Kansas City Chiefs game, there are things offensively that they were doing that they were setting up last week against Philly. So there was a lot of detail, it felt like, that went into this game plan. Even on the other side, Eberflus, they game planned for this game. And you know, during this time, a lot of time game plans mesh and you kind of have to, you know, roll it to the next week. I thought they did a fantastic job still mixing things up and being versatile. So to me, the Clipboard Warriors stand out, and this team being ready to play and being incredibly physical despite fatigue and not having enough time to recover. It shows how inspired they were, and also, too, that they really took this stretch seriously, Christy.
Yeah. I think the Malik Davis touchdown run, Clipboard Wars there, but also what to your point of, you know, making the blocks. Booker, who we talked about a moment ago, good block there. And then I totally agree with you, Aisha. And the one thing I would add is I wouldn't say so much unexpected, but recent returners or guys making their debuts. You mentioned Overshown, but what Savone Revel has meant.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. And a guy like Malik Davis, who was unemployed 3.5 months ago, and then making, you know, the most arguably unknown guy on the field at the time, making the 43-yard touchdown run and showing out on Thanksgiving Day in front of, almost 50 million people watching on TV. So I think that stands out as well, and it's something that Brian Schottenheimer talked about yesterday in his Sunday press conference, was about Revel. What he's done has really allowed them to do some things with their fronts and the rest of the defense because of how well that he's come in and played.
Yeah, no, that actually, the way that Eberflus is going to be able to scheme up things will possibly or possibly not change, considering he does get maybe a Trayvon Diggs back potentially. But no, still talking about this game though, my biggest takeaway was probably Dak Prescott.
He's been awesome.
He's been awesome, man. You talk about even this offensive line, he gave credit to where credit was due, saying that, you know, they've blocked well enough for me to be able to make things happen. But when you just look at that film, like sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
And he's literally having to roll out, make stuff happen out of nothing. And granted, he does have the pieces to get there, like CD, like George Pickens. But George didn't really show up till like that third drive of the game, I believe, in the second half.
Yeah, had a couple of drops early. But no, I mean, Dak Prescott, man, like even the first drive of the game, the turnover, which was the interception, and then for them to come back and drive down the field from their own 25 like that was what's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, and it's when they're backed up, you know, it's like
which is
the good field position, but give us 92 yards to go, and by golly, and we're like, no problem, they got this.
Yeah, so imagine what they could do on shorter fields. You know, that's something that's been stressing me out as of late, is special teams wise, you know, this offense is having to operate down the field. And to your point, Nicole, I think that does make Dak Prescott's performance that much more impressive, because the control that you have to have backed up, and you're going up against, you know, you go up against a Vic Fangio defense, and then you go up against why is his name? Spagnuolo.
Sorry,
I don't know why his name was escaping me.
Okay.
And then you go up against a Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and you know, there's so many different moving parts. And, you know, to your point, I thought that he handled the blitz incredibly well. I want to make sure I have his numbers pulled up. The way that he handled the blitz, he read the blitz well. There were times I thought that he maneuvered in the pocket fantastically. One thing about Dak Prescott, you can tell very early on what he's feeling like with his footwork. Early in this game, I was worried about his mechanics.
Yeah.
But he stayed true to his mechanics. Even when there was pressure in his face, even when he knew that he was going to take a hit, there were times he was releasing the ball as he was getting hit, and he still was following through.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think this is the veteran, the 10-year, you know, Dak Prescott. That ball that he threw where he escaped the pocket, you see him kind of turned at the Tony Romo turn and kind of spin out. And that 2-point conversion that he threw to Pickens on the move with the toe tap, and I mean, just vintage Dak, rolling out to your left and throwing that dime. He was on the money. I agree with you. I think this is one of his best performances of the year, which is hard to do. Yeah. And to your point, to go up against this defense and have to, you know, not make mistakes and to have these guys confident to go downfield, I think he just exuded that.
Dak against pressure, 10 of 12 for 108 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, but he did not take a sack. So I think those are some good numbers.
Yeah, I mean, might be okay.
I don't know, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, but I would just say one other thing is credit the aggressive play calling as well.
Yeah.
When we talk about some of these long drives and everything, it's not just, oh, you're backed up near your goal line, so let's hand it off twice. And it's like, no, let's throw a bomb to CD. Or,
Yeah.
You know, so... But that's trusting your quarterback and knowing that he can handle it. And let's also credit the Javonte Williams of the world and people like that who help with picking up on the blitzes and things like that. But yeah, I love your point, Aisha, about that dime to Pickens and then the spin and just, the getting rid of it to Javonte for the 3-yard touchdown pass was very Mahomesian.
It was.
And then throwing the dime to Pickens. Great play by Pickens, too. I mean, that's one of those Stretch Armstrong, Inspector Gadget arm kind of deal to go out and pluck that pass. But, yeah, that was really impressive.
I remember last year we were sitting up here talking about they couldn't really finish games or didn't have, I won't say heart enough to finish, but they just couldn't figure out how to finish games down the stretch. And the way that they've come a long way is what I'm about to is trying to
Yeah, but here's the thing. What happened to Philadelphia and to Kansas City? They both shot themselves in the freaking foot in the second half.
Yeah.
In the last 2 Cowboys games, what did the Cowboys do? Avoid those huge penalties and mistakes for the most part, and then overcome that initial interception where the blitz did get the offense. And credit CeeDee Lamb for the breakup on what might have been a second interception. That was Nick Bolton, right? The linebacker who nearly had it. And CeeDee went from receiver to defender there because that would have been a very different game if Kansas City had gotten that takeaway and potentially done something with it. Cowboys would have been in a deep hole there. So, everything went right for the Cowboys. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot, and the other teams did. And you don't expect that necessarily from the 2 teams that competed in the Super Bowl last year. But Cowboys benefited from it, and here you are, 3-game winning streak and a chance to surpass the Lions, with a huge game on Thursday with so many implications for the playoffs.
You talk about penalties. How about CeeDee Lamb drawing a couple of PIs as well to move the sticks, but a bounce back game for CeeDee is. Why are you laughing? What's funny? Why are you chuckling?
I just love it I love it because expect to see more of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Expect to see more of it on both sides with both of those guys. McDuffie is one of the best corners in football, and the panic. That's the thing about this offense. And to your point, Christy, I want to say that I think that the Dallas offense is so stressful. It's so incredibly stressful. You see, I mean, again, even with a coordinator like Spagnuolo, you're watching them Spagnuolo rather, really go through trying to figure out what's going to work with these 2 guys. And then you got Ferg. And then you just have Flournoy that's just consistent. Like, he's efficient. When they throw the ball to him, 9 times out of 10, he's catching it. Yeah. That's just so much stress on a defense, girl. Go ahead.
No, my bad. What was my point? Oh, CeeDee Lamb. Sorry. Bounce back game for him. I know the second drive of the game, he was targeted on 3rd down 3 times, caught all 3 passes on 3rd downs, but just an elite. I mean, Shoddy also talking about the fact that he had that look in his eye.
Was there any doubt that he was going to dominate that game?
Absolutely not.
The way that he was having to answer the questions last week after what for him was a disappointing game, even though it was a win over Philadelphia, he knew that he had some drops and didn't play well, and you see him kind of pouty at the end of the game, even though it's a win, and it's like, somebody gonna pay for this.
He made people pay, and certainly happier in post game. You got to hear from him talking about, I saw everybody's comments, I saw what everybody had to say, and y'all felt me. But just talk about what drive of the game was the turning point for you ladies that y'all knew, okay, this was a game that the Cowboys could get.
Wow, to me, the Malik Davis touchdown was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Shotty was cooking.
Oh yeah.
Was.
You hear me? That was it for you?
For me personally, yeah. But I don't know. What do you think?
For me,
or was it maybe second half?
No, it was the bomb to CD Lamb. I said, oh,
There we go.
they
there
got
you go.
They feel away.
Yeah.
You know, like because you in that moment you're like. When you're going up against Mahomes, you're 9 times out of 10 trying to play keep away. It's interesting because I think people are trying to play keep away from you now. But I think you're trying to play keep away. And for Dallas to be like, nah, like we want to stay aggressive to Christy's point. We want to stay aggressive. It's there. That's one thing that to your point, Nicole, earlier about how well Dak Prescott played. He took what the defense gave him. And, baby, if he saw George Pickens or CD Lamb one-on-one on somebody he felt like couldn't guard them, which was pretty much nobody, he was tossing that thing. And I mean, again, like I appreciate their ability to kind of put the nail in the coffin. I know that sounds bad. I think it goes back to your point, Nicole, about last year saying like they can't close out games. Yeah. They seem close. They come out too sluggish in the second half. You can see them put their foot on the gas in games, and it's so awesome because it's balanced. Yeah. Because a lot of teams can't, like, don't get it twisted. Kansas City did a pretty good job bottling up the run early in this game. Dallas wasn't getting much on the ground. But they just stick to it. They do. They stick to it until it works, and then when it works, then really from there you can just do whatever you want to do. And I thought that's what they did in the second half of the game.
Because it's play action, right? I mean, they have to respect the run to set up play action, and this is the most we've ever seen Dak under center in his career.
Yeah, heavy play action in this game. That was something that stood out in this game, and I'm excited about that, especially even going into this next week because you got another team that is very heavy play action. So your defense has at least a look, see at kind of like what that is to deal with the offense like that. But to your point, a lot of play action, really trying to set. I felt like Shoddy really was trying to set things up this game.
Yeah. And good point about the run game because I remember at halftime I looked and I was like, dang, only 72 rushing yards. But you can't look at the numbers, honestly, with this team because they're just getting a couple yards but sticking with it like you mentioned because that's all they need to set up the play action. But my drive of the game was probably Javonte's touchdown, of course, capped off by the 2-point conversion. But that's when Pickens had that hurdle on 2nd and 8.
So sick.
That was right in front of me.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the Pickens drive.
It was.
Yeah, he had 2 catches, I believe, on that drive. Of course, 2-point conversion, but he really set up that touchdown for Javonte Williams. At that point, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good.
Because you got closers.
Yeah.
Like, Pickens shows up in these big moments. You got CD, like, you got guys that in these moments where you're like, I need for my guy to be better than that guy. You got guys to do that. And when you talk about Pickens, like, all the way around, I think this was one of the best. Going back and look at the film, I thought this was one of the best games from the wide receiver core as far as a usage standpoint and how they meshed and, like, what made sense in that moment. Like, even I just thought, like, the way that they were setting things, even like you said, the Pickens drive.
Yeah.
They like, how many times have we been in games and we've been like, he's unguardable. Just keep giving it to him. They can't stop it. That's what you do in football. Until they stop it, you keep doing it. This team hasn't always done that. This team has sometimes gotten conservative. Sometimes this team has been like, oh, well, this guy haven't gotten touches and, like, we don't care. If they can't stop it, then you keep doing it. And it was awesome to see Shoddy and Dak and those guys just go at Lord have mercy on McDuffie. He didn't deserve that. Like, he gave him more yards.
Yeah, sure he did.
Be all right.
They got all their
yeah, they'd be all right. They'd be all right. They'd be all right. But
not gonna cry for him.
But definitely the worst game of his young career, and and to your point, Nicole, I think that's so dope that Pickens kind of had off start a little bit, couple drops. But he comes out and finishes the game. CD does everything in the first half, and then Pickens is like, all right, I got you, big bro. And then they mesh at the end.
How about Turpin?
Yeah.
I'm excited
that
about
fumble recovery.
Shout out to you, Turpin.
That part.
That was huge.
Shout out to you, Turpin, because we've been kind of, I've been kind of hard on you. But bless you, kind human.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, and here's the thing. What did we see last week in the locker room was Kevontae Turpin sitting at his locker with this huge ice pack on his left shoulder. I mean, he's been playing hurt for a few weeks now. And yet he's the one, it was a hustle play. And other than George Pickens, the only Cowboy in the vicinity that had any chance of getting at that ball was Kevontae Turpin because he continued to hustle the whole play. And when that ball came out, he went from fast to warp speed and got on that ball, because as soon as the ball came out, I'm like, oh, my God, they're going to get it. And Patrick Mahomes is going to lead a game-winning touchdown. There we go.
She was stressed.
And all within that millisecond of Turpin getting on it. But what a huge hustle play. And what do they say in football? Good things happen when you hustle towards the ball.
Yeah, when you play hard.
And that was encapsulated by Turpin on that fumble recovery. And let's also give a shout out to Junior Adams, right? Yeah. The wide receivers coach. It's his first year with the Cowboys, and because all the people that you mentioned, it's contributions from everybody.
You in my notes?
Do you have him listening?
You in my business?
You're in my
Give
business,
Junior
crazy.
Adams some love, verbatim. I agree with Christy. This is one of the guys that isn't getting, we haven't talked about him much, but when you talk about what this receiver core is doing and the balance that exists there, we've seen Ryan Flanoy take an uptick, obviously, to picking standards. I'm sure everyone's standards, he's having the best season of his career. CeeDee Lamb is continuing the season he was having last year. So I think these gentlemen are getting some fantastic coaching, and that's showing as well. Junior Adams has done a great job.
Yeah, Junior Adams, this entire coaching staff, but specifically on the defensive side of the ball, because we got to show them some love, too.
Sure do.
They held the Chiefs scoreless for 2 quarters. But on that note, we're going to take our first break. Up next, we're going to dive into this defensive side of the ball here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Heck of a win, fellas.
Coach, the Cowboys beat us by 30 points.
No, I'm talking about my dog. He started eating fresh food from the farmer's dog and has lost 7 pounds.
Your senior dog with joint issues?
That's right, Steven. The pre-portioned meals of real meat and veggies help keep him lean, active, and feeling like a puppy again.
That's incredible. But what about the game?
The Cowboys smoked us. Hit the field, run some sprints.
Get 50% off your first box of the official pet food of the Dallas Cowboys. Only at thefarmersdog.com/Cowboys.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
Celebrate the season at Cowboys Christmas Extravaganza, powered by Reliant at the Star in Frisco. Join us every Friday and Saturday night, now through December 20th, for an electrifying holiday performance. For details, visit thestardistrict.com. Starts at 6 o'clock. It's outdoors, weather permitting. Went last weekend, and absolutely phenomenal. More and more people coming every year. Get to see Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, Rhythm and Blue, Santa Claus with a secret arrival at the end. So it's great for families, and the main thing, it's free. So you got people coming into town to visit. It's a great thing to do. Come to the Star and celebrate Christmas with us and with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
You said free. I know everybody going.
There you go.
And the lights are really pretty.
Mm-hmm. And the new stuff's at the Pro Shop.
I love that. Wake up!
Wake up.
It's been a minute.
Wake up.
Time to wake up. Cowboys.
Chris got you.
We love that. Appreciate it, Chris. Cowboys, of course, defensively continuing to build week in, week after week out. Talking about a Patrick Mahomes that is one of the most elusive quarterbacks in the NFL, and he played pretty much elite. 23 completions for 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, absolutely carving, extending drives for the Chiefs. But you know who played better? Who had a better day in the office? This Dallas defense. Hello.
Yeah.
3 sacks on the day, pressuring him when he needed to as well. Talk about this defense. I feel like of course, we say it every week because the first, 9 weeks of the season, it wasn't the best. But they've certainly turned it up a notch. Jadeveon Clowney, these defensive ends have certainly improved. Quentin Williams has been the it factor of how this defense has taken that next step as well. Aisha, what you got?
Well, they got off. I was fussing the other day, but they got off the field on 3rd down.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that Dallas has struggled at. I heard Shotty talk about it yesterday. He's like, it's weird. It's weird because they're getting teams in a lot of 3rd and longs, and they did the same thing with Kansas City on Thursday. Is that they got Kansas City in quite a few 3rd and longs, and they just couldn't overcome it. I thought that the biggest thing for me was, you know, we got to give Matt Eberflus a lot of love. You know, I know that I've been critical of just kind of how things were going. I feel like we stated it here on the show is that I think he kind of got the ingredients, and now he cooking a little bit more, like you were just saying, Nicole. You know, kind of readying the middle of that defense and getting that pressure. That's making your secondary. You know, that's making your secondary be able to do more. He threw the kitchen sink at Patrick Mahomes too. I mean, they did so many different fronts. They did the 5-man looks. They did a couple of 4-man looks. They had some nickel blitzes from Reddy Stewart. They had the linebackers spying at times. They played some nickel. I mean, they really tried to trip up this quarterback because this is a very smart quarterback, and they did. There were times where he was holding on to the ball longer. Obviously, he had to scramble. I felt like this defense is starting to obviously get into a rhythm, but Matt Eberflus is deploying these guys in different ways. A good mixture of man and zone. You know, these guys are getting to press, get their hands on guys a little bit more, be physical at the line of scrimmage. So to your point earlier about maybe getting Trayvon Diggs back, I think this scheme and kind of how things are, he will fit into kind of what they want to do, hopefully better than kind of how it looked at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, Chrissy.
Yeah, I just think it shows that it's a players' league, and once you get some guys and get some pieces,
Jimmy's and Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, all the heat that Eberflus was taken from fans and media early in the season, right? Once you
Yeah,
exactly
us
it.
too. Myself included.
From us as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
I said
But once you get the players, and then he can do all of these things, and I think Aisha's on the mark there with able to mix things up, and you know, as much as Patrick Mahomes, what he does on the move is so much a part of his game throughout his career. What's different to me, and even against Jalen Hurts, it's that when this team is in pursuit, and I'm including Clowney here, you know, at his AARP advanced age, and yet they're still closing on. I can say that because I'm twice as old as Clowney,
Yeah,
but
she can get away.
you know, they're closing,
Yes.
right? They're closing on him, and it's not just the young guys like Ezraku that are able. DeMarvion Overshown with his speed, and it's solid tackling. That's the main thing, is limiting a lot of the yards after contact. Is it perfect?
Yeah.
No, but for the most part, it's flipped the script where it's the Cowboys who are getting the yards after contact, and the opponents, basically the defense shutting them down because earlier in the season or at the midpoint, you know, it was exactly opposite.
Yeah, and I thought, honestly, like, I didn't think this was the best tackling game for them.
But
There were a lot
enough to get the guys
Absolutely.
It's pursuit, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the guys being there to help, right?
Like that, I think it was that Clowney second sack where Quentin Williams literally had Mahomes, but I think he faked him out a little bit, and then went almost sliding. But no, there were so many almost. That's what Patrick had tweeted. I love the word he said. It was so many almost in that game, which, I mean, to go up against a Super Bowl team like that and hold them to, like I said, 38% on third down. Two quarters scoreless, like
5 of 13 on third down. Like, it was
That's
it was
impressive.
Well, I mean, I love that you brought up the tackling part of it, because when I went back and watched the game, I felt the same way as well. The beginning of this game, you know, Kansas City, when they came out in their script, they really created a lot of spacing east to west for the Cowboys, and that's given Dallas some trouble this year, playing the flats, the linebackers coming down, the corners taking good pursuit angles when they're having to come down and tackle. That's given Dallas some trouble. So I want to say early in that game, I did feel like the tackling wasn't up to par. But to your point, Christy, as the game went on, it did get better for sure. And you did see, the rally to the ball, the hustle to the ball. And also, too, I initially thought that maybe some of the tackling, especially in spots, was, guys fatigued, especially as you get into the third, fourth quarter of the week that they were having. But, I mean, Chrissy, I think you make a great point about, I think tackling is going to be important in this game.
Oh, my gosh.
Coming up in
Detroit.
In a couple of days, so you need to be tackling better than that. But Savon Ravel is somebody that I want to definitely make sure that Savon rather. Ravel, I want to make sure that I highlight his play. Man, how exciting is it to see him come out and be confident? I mean, when you look at, players like Xavier Worthy, these speed guys, you can see him carrying these guys. He's creating a lot of small windows. I mean, his body naturally creates a lot of small windows. Like he has such length that I do think that quarterbacks are going to struggle with where to place the ball with him, because he really, in comparison to some of these receivers, he takes up a lot of space. I think that he is still getting some experience and reacting quicker to some of those shorter throws at the line of scrimmage, but he is so tough. And just a cornerback. When you think about a cornerback, you look at how he deals with the press. He's physical. Yep. He's not afraid to get his hands on guys. I like his ability to still turn and run. I just... keep an eye on him, because I feel like his ability, and if he's able to kind of steady one side of that defense, I mean, look out. I mean, some of these, Dallas didn't get really any sacks in this game, if I'm not mistaken, but they got three. They got 3 sacks in this game. 2 of those sacks were covered sacks. 2 of those sacks were covered sacks, and so. That, to me, that says a lot about this Kansas City offense that is so unpredictable. Pat Mahomes is a guy that can make something out of nothing, and they have guys on the back end. They're not just like, don't get me wrong, like Juju Smith-Schuster is someone that people aren't really like clamoring over, but he's still a guy that can catch passes. And Dallas, I thought, played one of their better games defensively in coverage, and Savon Ravel was a big part of that.
Yeah. The way the exact phrase that Schottenheimer used yesterday in talking about Revel was tying up receivers, doing a great job of tying up receivers. And that goes back to what he said earlier in the press conference when asked, why is the defense better on third downs over the past few games? And he says it is tighter coverage, and it affects the quarterbacks, and they have to make the tighter throws.
Yeah.
And, while also being under more pressure from the front seven.
Yeah.
So combine all those things together, and the third down has improved dramatically.
Now since we're already talking about Savon Rebel, some of the cornerbacks in this room, the Cowboys did activate Trayvon Diggs' 21-day practice window yesterday, so he was out at practice. Christy, you got a chance to see him up close. What did it look like?
Well, we didn't get to see him do any of the real defensive drills other than the group work, the position work, so didn't see him really go against any receivers and the like, but he looked like he was moving around well.
Okay.
The one thing is Clowney was working in the end zone on the resistance cord with the director of rehabilitation, Britt Brown, but I don't know that he's going to show up necessarily. Well, may show up as limited on an injury report this week if that continues, but I think that just may be the fact 3 games in 12
just
days and all that kind of thing. Hopefully it's more of a management kind of thing.
Lord.
I was concerned. Yeah, I mean, I tweeted about it where I was like, I'm keeping an eye on this, because he's been
important.
He's been incredibly important, and just to see him play the run is one of the most. It's fun because you see him reading the offense. You see the know-how and the experience. And I think, again, we talked about earlier in the season, one of the losses that isn't talked about enough is DeMarcus Lawrence. It's like, it doesn't matter how you feel about him. He was still one of the best edge defenders in the NFL last year, in the year before that, even against the run. And, you kind of replace that with Clowney. And I think that's huge for this defense. Dallas, since the trade deadline, I wanted to go ahead and run the defensive numbers. Their opponents are they're 12th in opponents' points per game, 24th in pass yards per game, my bad. And then second in rush yards per game. And they're also 8th in sacks. So, I mean, you see the improvements. The rush yards per game. Teams are having to pass the ball on you. It's not that they're just passing and you see them having good pass yardage. So that, to me, is indicative in the numbers as well, is that teams in this third 3-game stretch, they are having to pass the ball more because you are really, really choking the run. And then also, too, you look at the sacks. You look at the ability to get to the quarterback a little bit more. That's something that Dallas hasn't been doing well. So that points per game really stands out as well. You know, you go from being literally like one of the worst
32 points
to
a game.
12. And, you know, and I know that some people are still kind of worried. I mean, a 3-game sample size is a good sample size. I think this Lions game will let us know for real, like, we're finding out who this team is in real time. You know, I feel like that's what I feel like right now. I feel like we're finding out who this team is, what they're made of in real time. And whatever happens, I'm excited about the fact that they are establishing an identity here in Dallas.
And you say a three-game stretch might be a sample size, but at this point of the season, I think it actually kind of carries a little bit more weight, just because first 5 weeks teams are still trying to figure themselves out. Hell, we were trying to figure ourselves out, and so now you have teams probably playing their best right now, or of course they're banged up, whichever the two. So yeah, I think it says a lot about this Dallas team. When you think about, and this was one of the biggest questions that was asked in post game was, okay, you guys have rattled off 3 straight wins, beat 2 Super Bowl champion teams. What does this say, or what kind of message does this send to the NFL? And, you know, got a chance to hear from some of the guys, but I want to know, like, what's y'all's input on what message does this send to the NFL, to other teams in the NFL?
Well, I think it's more the way that the guys responded to the question, and that is, hey, it's still to come. It's just setting us up for what's to come.
Yeah.
You know, not resting on your laurels of what you've accomplished, but hey, now is the time that's coming. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like focusing on what's ahead instead of oh yeah, now we're here. It's like, well, let's see. On to the next thing.
Yeah, I think the message that it sends is, you know, people already knew that your offense was potent, but your defense coming along really does, to me, make you a stressful team to go up against. You know, you're becoming a team where there's not that much room for error, especially with the offense being on that side of the ball. Another thing too that this defense has done better is take the ball away.
Yeah.
That's something that coming in with Matt Eberflus, you expect, you know, that's kind of his track record, is that his defenses take the ball away, and that's something that we hadn't seen at the beginning of the year, but, you know, that's something that we're starting to see more consistently from this defense as well. And you giving this ball back to this offense on a short field, that's a really tough situation to be in for opposing defenses.
Yeah, I think the message that it sends is, and I can't remember who it was, so I'm not going to point it out, but one of the players in the post game was like, we can compete with some of the best in the NFL.
It's absolutely true.
Which is absolutely true. And even to, you know, like I said, with the offense, last year would have been a whole different ball game if, you know, we were talking about a 2024 team, because, of course, your offense gives you a short field, throwing that interception, having to defend a short field against the Kansas City Chiefs, huge problem. They gave up 2 scores on the first 2 opening drives for Kansas City and still forced 4 straight punts on those next drives. So I think it's also the resiliency that this Eberflus defense has started to play with as well. We're going to take our second break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, and dive a little bit more into this Trayvon Diggs news being back. And, of course, the Cowboys have signed a new running back to practice squad. We'll be right back with more.
Heck of a win, fellas.
Coach, the Cowboys beat us by 30 points.
No, I'm talking about my dog. He started eating fresh food from the farmer's dog and has lost 7 pounds.
Your senior dog with joint issues?
That's right, Steven. The pre-portioned meals of real meat and veggies help keep him lean, active, and feeling like a puppy again.
That's incredible. But what about the game?
The Cowboys smoked us. Hit the field, run some sprints.
Get 50% off your first box of the official pet food of the Dallas Cowboys, only at thefarmersdog.com/Cowboys.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
All right, Cowboys fans, this one's for us. If the men in your life bleed blue and silver like we do, I've found the perfect way to elevate their game day rituals. Gillette just released their best razor in Cowboys colors, and it is everything a Cowboys fan could want. The new Gillette Labs official Dallas Cowboys licensed razor combines his Cowboys pride with Gillette's best shave. And with 50% longer lasting blades, it is truly the gift that keeps on giving. Get it while you can at Gillette.com/NFL. Gillette's best shave is also available as heated.
Capture frame-worthy holiday photos with Santa Claus at the Star, presented by Monument Realty. Santa will be spreading holiday cheer all the way through Christmas Eve. For more information and to book your visit, head to thestardistrict.com/Santa. Register before December 7th to save $5.
Wake up! I've been missing that. It's been a couple of days. Wake up!
Yes.
Okay, it was a little more hot.
Yeah, I slept past 8 a.m. 3 days in a row because I didn't have Nicole yelling, wake up!
I know.
Starting at 8 a.m. Central.
I'm sorry, man. Maybe I should set an alarm clock on y'all's phones.
Well, actually, that would be funny. Is it should be a ringtone that everybody can download or put for their alarm.
Go. All right. Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Aisha Morrison, Christy Scales, and ladies, Cowboys have added a new addition to the practice squad. Israel Abanikanda to the practice squad, like I said, former 5th-round pick, played at Pitt. Of course, the Cowboys have had interest in him since back in 2023 when he was drafted. So just talk about, the new addition. And honestly, I guess I'll start with this one. This is an indictment on Jaden Blue. Let's just talk about it. I don't want to, we ain't got that much time.
A wee bit.
Get straight to it.
A wee bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because you have Malik Davis that has certainly emerged as your running back too, of course, stacking good games. But Jaden Blue was expected to be that potential running back too here for the Dallas Cowboys. But so you say
Well, they're looking for they're looking for some explosion. I think that there's some. I mean, the way this offensive line is starting to really work and get to the second level, and some of the stuff that's happening, like I think Dallas is, and I think that's why Malik Davis is getting burned, because they want somebody that can, Javonte, the season is long. Javonte is, very physical, taking a lot of physicality, but they need another guy to threaten the defense from a more shifty speed perspective, and Israel Abanikanda fits that. I mean, 20 touchdowns his last year at Pittsburgh. He's kind of bounced all over the place. I know with the Jets running back room, remember last year it was like 4 deep. It was so many guys. They just were harvesting running backs, and he was one of the gentlemen that kind of got the short end of the stick there. He's kind of just been bouncing. This is a crazy athlete with insane, breakaway speed. When he is able to get in the open field, he can capture the edge. Just a lot of drive when he puts his foot in the ground. I mean, he's not the biggest guy, but if you watch him when he was in Pittsburgh, he was a guy that could take on some physicality and can run through between the tackles as well. But this is an explosive player. He was an explosive player. So I wonder how Dallas decides to use him if they do decide to bring him in. But just a good depth piece for now, and I'm glad that they made a move with the running back position, because we haven't heard anything about Phil Maffa either. So. If you're trying to go on this run, you need another back. It's about to get cold. Javonte has to be able to take breaks sometimes. He does. And I think, Dallas is searching for that guy. I think that's why Malik Davis is getting opportunity too.
Yeah, and more of a complimentary turn. You mentioned Maffa because he's more of a physical kind of guy, right?
He's similar to Javonte.
Is more of a speed guy. But the thing, when Cowboys fans, at least those of us who remember 70s and 80s Cowboys, when you hear a running back from Pitt, what's the first thing you think of? Tony Dorsett. Well, this Abanikanda actually broke Tony Dorsett's record at Pitt, not for like total yards, but single game. Dorsett had the record for like 40 years, single game record, like 306 rushing yards. And Abanikanda actually had 320 rushing yards in a game. So if you can break one of Tony Dorsett's college records, you must have something going for you. But yeah, he was he's from Brooklyn, New York, and was a track star there and everything. So to Aisha's point about his elite speed.
Yeah, and you need somebody to, like Aisha mentioned, alleviate Javonte Williams. I was about to say Javonte Williams, especially at this point in the season. But Javonte, close to he has hit a career high, 955 rushing yards on the season, 45 more to hit his 1,000-yard mark. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough because now you have a Davis who is, emerging as potentially that running back 2 position. You need to see a little bit more from Jaden. The biggest thing about him, which we've heard from Shadi talk about it, we've heard from Clayton Adams as well talk about it, is understanding the physicality at this NFL level. And that's something that hopefully Jaden Blue does kind of.
And look, it's special teams, okay? It's special teams as well.
Yeah.
And if you are not the starting running back for an NFL team, you have to contribute on special teams.
You got to play special
And
teams.
he's not the primary returner for the Cowboys because you have Kevontae Turpin. So if you're not the primary returner, you're not the starting running back, you have to be in coverage. And Malik Davis is better at that than him. And Malik Davis is the personal protector on the punt coverage because Wanye Thomas is on NFI with migraines, non-football injury. So there's only so many active among you have 53 on the roster, but you have to have either 5 or 6 in active game day. And if you're not on coverage units, then that's why, really one of the main reasons why Jaden's not playing.
That's also true.
That's good to know. But I think Dallas is also trying to take advantage. You got teams, again, we talked about the wide receivers earlier. It's really like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And Dallas is like, well, if you're going to be damned, we're going to drag you even further with the run. Because the defenses have to make decisions. You can't drop all these guys in coverage to try to stop the passing game and then just ignore that this offensive line is moving guys off the ball. Tyler Booker, I thought, had his best game of the season, and it had a fantastic stretch as well. So I was like, yeah, I think Dallas is trying to figure out how they can be explosive, just as explosive in the run game. And not to say that Javonte Williams doesn't have any, good runs. He does. It's just some of those breakaway, really, really put your foot. Malik Davis, you getting something. You literally just in our I formation, you kind of have some guys staggered. Brevin Spann-Ford had a hell of a game blocking on the interior and in line. Man, I think Dallas is trying to figure some things out if they're going to go on this run.
Well, they're figuring things out. We are going to figure some things out and break down this film tomorrow. Cowboys, Lions, are y'all excited? Yes.
I'm scared.
Why?
Huh?
Well, be unscared.
Jameer Gibbs.
Because all that motion and running and
it's dizzying.
Yeah, like I ain't in the mood for all that.
Well, you got 24 hours.
You got to take Dramamine before you watch their film.
That's a compliment.
Okay. No, it is.
That's a good compliment. Well, undream.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Jesus, look.
Absolutely. Not really. I'm scared. It's all right. We're going to break it all down tomorrow here at 8 a.m. on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. For Aisha Morrison, Christy Scales, I'm Nicole Hutchison. We'll see y'all back here at 8 a.m.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!